Sane, Lute, ha, Vale. Come here right now. I want to talk to you. Sane, A. Ruth. A, very good. Sane, A, very good. Ruth, A. A plus. Sane, A, yes. Sane, A, Ruth, A plus, A plus. Sane, B. Why? Another B, B, B. Ruth, you got all A's, A plus, A minus. Sane, what is that B? You need to do better. You need to understand why. That moment, my 11-year-old heart broke into a very low thud. My dad was right, but I couldn't understand why. We've been talking about heroes today. And from that moment, I was reading comic books, looking up history books. I was looking for a hero, someone who could save me from education. My father, loving as he was, brought us up quite hard and disciplined us because he valued education above all. And he wanted all his children to be educated. And he made sure that we knew. Before I went to school, he would teach me from 1 to 100. I would count. Every day he'll call me and I'll stand in front of him and he'll say, now start counting. 1, 2, 5. Okay, get me your hand, my palm. It was almost like, he'll get out a little ruler and he'll go, count again. 1, 2, 3, 4. But each time I missed a number, it was a little one. But that memory, any other child would have had this experience as a bonding time with their parents and would have loved it. For me, it was traumatizing. Each time I had to go through it, I didn't understand why. Through the years, as my teacher would call me to the front, and I'll be sitting at the back, calling Sane, the big brown envelope at the end of the year, with my father's name typed on it, was to take the report. And that long walk from the back of the classroom to the front was like walking the Green Mile. I knew that envelope held my persecution, not from my classmates, of course, but from my old man. I didn't understand why. As I went through high school, each time I would have my report, that walk home got longer. And I would always wish that there was some lightning from out of nowhere, zap me out of existence, out of my pain. Those experiences made me hate learning. It made me hate education. I couldn't wait to grow up, finish school once and for all. I thought to myself, I couldn't understand it. My father pushed me. Yet, he would always say, your A's are not complete. And again, I would have to go through that broken heart and the thud. I finally made it through high school, unbelievably. I hated it. I would sit at the back of the classroom. I was the quietest student. Teachers tried to get me to talk, but my confidence was so low in myself. As it neared the end of high school, I was getting nervous because I didn't want to carry on into university. In my head, I was reasoning how to get out of university. I mean, a lot of people would want to get into university, and some people can't for many reasons. But I was trying my best to reason within myself to try and get out of it. I thought, being a nun. But no, because my father would have went, no. But for me, being a nun, that was too holy. What about eloping? At the time, my parents had allowed me to get engaged with a young man. And I thought, let's elope. Because I just wanted to get out of going to university. By the time I was only 18. I even thought, I know, I'll just wag my exams. That's what I'll do in the final year. So I did. I actually tried to fail. Believe it or not, I tried. I tried my best to fail, not to get into university. But hello, what? I got in. And of all people, I was probably the most surprised. My father was surprised, but he didn't show it. I thought actually I didn't do so well. I barely got there. I got a university entrance. And that to me, I thought that was too little. And I still felt my confidence wasn't big enough. My father wanted me to go. I still didn't understand why. So when my father got my results, he made sure I got to the enrollments office at the university, drove me there, got me to sign while he waited patiently, got out his wallet. We barely had anything, but he made sure he paid my enrollment application. You know, all this, and I was still taking it as blasé, okay, I made it in, so what? My father never showed any emotion. He just said, well, you're going to university and you're going to make it. And I thought, here he goes again, he's pushing me, and I don't like school. I thought it'd be over. In my head, I'm going, but surely they'll want me to work. You know, look at our situation. We couldn't afford anything, let alone to get me through university for 3 years. During this time, my parents will go to the onion paddocks because they're in church ministry. And of course they couldn't afford, because our family was a big family. 8 children. I was the oldest. In between holidays and schools, during the holidays, we will be taken to the onion paddocks. We will pick. We will clip. We will cut. We will pick in the heat of the sun from dawn to dusk to get our fees paid. You know, all this, going through this, and I'm thinking, it doesn't make sense. I don't want to be educated, yet they're pushing me and they're making me labor for this, and I still couldn't understand. So I agreed with my parents, I'll go, but on my terms, I'll take any subject I want and just get out as fast as I could. And I did. I went through the years and I got my degree. But I chose ancient history. Right, who wants to know about ancient Greek? Who wants to know how the Greeks took over from, the empire from another nation? And I thought that it didn't matter as long as I got that degree, because I believed my parents wanted it more. One thing I observed when I was at university, you see, my father would take me every morning at 6 a.m., drop me off at university, and then pick me up at midnight every day of my degree. And here I was thinking, oh, he's watching me, he's trying to make sure that I pass. Make sure that I made it on time into class. I still didn't understand. And I observed, and I thought I could get out so quickly, just 3 years, get out. But it wasn't that easy. My observations were, while other students were able to buy their books, I had to wait until all the books were returned from the reserve into the library on the day that my assignment was due. While other students had computers, I had to write all my essays out and hand them in at 5 o'clock on the day. While other students had cars and, flash, fast ones, my father came in his beat-up van with the blue and red. We used to joke about a lot. And I used to feel embarrassed at times and was glad that he came early in the morning and picked me up at night. And while others could afford food to eat with their friends, I had to hide myself at the park because I only had a few dollars to get me nuts and raisins. I still didn't understand. But I worked through those years. Come graduation day, 4th of June, 1994. Again, attitude. I made it, yes. I just wanted to go and, get out of there as fast as I could. But my parents thought, no, we're going to celebrate it. I thought, why? Just get this over with. So I told them to stay home and I marched on my own. That day, as I walked through the crowds with all the graduates beside me, as we walked through Queen Street, I could remember that day just like yesterday. Crowds were cheering, faceless people waving, yelling. I was walking on my own. I didn't have anyone. So by the time I got to town hall, my parents were waiting outside. People were yelling. I could hear my name. But there was one voice that I could hear. Sane! 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 Could it be that one voice that only I could hear? I turned to see my father. A look of pride in his eyes. That split second, the universe stopped. In that moment, I understood. I understood why he pushed me. Often we're looking for heroes from all over the place. Movies, books, comics. And often we forget the heroes that are sitting across the dining table from us. He was right. That's when the pin dropped. My mother had told me, and now I understand. My father, when he was a young man, still in high school, for the last 3 years of his senior years, he was Dux. Intelligent, loved education, believed in it wholly. He came to New Zealand because he had gotten a scholarship to go to Australia. But his parents couldn't afford it. So the opportunity was lost. So he chose to come to New Zealand and build a new life. And at that time, I was only 15 months. See, I didn't know all this. Intelligent man. He had to come. He could have gotten a job as a manager. He could have been a great businessman. But he chose labouring jobs to build a life for me. The times that he went through and the struggles that he had to face and the sacrifices he made. I remember the times during the dawn raids, the blue and the red lights when our family would come together in fear, when we hear all the knocks and we hear the yelling and the screaming. And then I would see shadows. My dad and mum would go, shh, to try and hide us. See, my father had to use a pseudonym so that he could not be identified. You know, the things he went through. It was so that we wouldn't be taken like the rest of the families. The crying of women and children as their fathers and their husbands were dragged off in those vans. As Tongan, you're taught to look to the floor and not look up when you're talking to a superior. So an intelligent man had to force himself to always look at the ground when he's talking to a superior. He was taught not to speak back at people who were at a higher level. An intelligent man had to be forced. His dignity, hold himself and hold his voice. I now understand. My father sacrificed a lot. He is my hero. He is my hero. My father had to look down so that I can stand tall today. My father had to silence himself so that I could speak out today. This special event is dedicated to the winning formula. And my father has shown me that further education and learning is that winning formula. He is my hero. He did it all.
Thank you.